Next up is the Mappool sheet. We use import range to import an external map pool. I'll skip over the formatting for now. The current layout of the maps is from my map pooling template. So if you use my map pooling template and make a map pool, it's going to look something like this in the export tab. The example map pools shown right now are the ones from the German State Championship from this year. Now we make an extra 3 columns on the right, which are generated from the map pool. First is the map, which we will make from concatenating the map identifier, such as nomod 1, hidden 3, freemod 5, and the map string itself. We do this so a referee can simply type in the map identifier or part of the map string into the map selection in the template to get the dropdown to autocomplete. This makes it easier in case a player doesn't know the map name, maybe only the map identifier, or the other way around, doesn't know the map identifier and only the map name. We use an array formula to apply this concatenation to all of the maps, not just from one map pool, but to all of the maps given. Similarly, we also use an array formula to do the same thing with the mpmap command, which is used to change maps from the IRC client. Remember, you can instantly insert an array formula function around the current formula by using the keybind Ctrl-Shift-Enter. Next up is the mpmods command. It's used to change the map mods from the IRC client, and it's using a programming construct called switchCase with the switch function. It checks the first 2 characters of the map identifier with the left function. So in nomod 1, the nm1, it would get the nm, and in hidden 1, hd1, it would return the hd. The mpmods command works with the 2-letter mod combinations of hidden, hard rock, and double time. It doesn't work for free mod or no mod, which is why we have to make cases for them to translate into the written out version, because those work but the 2-letter versions don't. Now back to the template sheet. We want the stage drop-down menu to dynamically change the map pool on the left side. So first we use the match function to find the position of the given keyword, or the given stage in this case. Since the stage in my layout is in the first column, I can use that to get the position of the given map pool. Then we use the offset function, which returns the given cell with a row or column offset and with a given size of the returned range. Because we know that the map pool we're looking for is always 1 below the matched stage, we can use the match as the row offset. The size in this case is a height of 20, which is adjustable. Feel free to change it to the size of your map pool. The width in this case is 3, because we want to return the 3 columns we created just now. You can see it returned NA for the round of 16 at first, because there isn't a round of 16 pool in the German State Championship map pools. Now I changed the font size of the mpmap and mpmods command so they fit, and I make dropdowns for picking and banning maps. Now, onto the match results. When referees open up the ref sheet for the first time, the match results formula can look quite intimidating because it's pretty long. But actually, it's less complicated than the pick order, because it's only simple string concatenation and if statements, even if it doesn't look like it. Now how do we start out? We create a basic layout with placeholder variables first, then put in cell references later on, just like we did for the current score label. The editor I'm using is Visual Studio Code. The reason I'm using Visual Studio Code is because I'm quite well versed with it, with keybinds and everything, and because it has the ability to use multi-cursor, of which I'm going to make heavy use of when filling in those cell references. Actually, use whatever you want though. Use Notepad, use Notepad++, or do it in Sheets directly. It doesn't really matter. The disadvantage of using an external editor is that there aren't any instant feedback or testing capabilities. And as a result of that, you can see me debugging the formula for a bit at the end because I got some syntax wrong when I was making that basic layout. As you can see, I'm also going to use bold formatting for some of the labels, and I'm going to use a fancy crown emoji for the winner depending on who won. I also want to change the formatting for the score display. to highlight the winning player in bold. So that's why I'm making 2 lines for 2 different outcomes, if in case the first player won or in case the second player won. What you'll also see me use is the char function, in this case char10, and char10 is nothing but a line break. So if you concatenate char10 to 2 strings, the second string is going to be a new line. Now I use an if function to change the formatting and the crown depending on who won, so all I'm doing is comparing the score. I'm also implementing the condition in case the match has finished, but I'm going to do that later on in a different if, which you can see in a bit. Keep in mind I'm still using placeholder variables, I'm not using any actual cell references yet. We'll wait with that until the very end. Now, there are 3 different states the match results cell can be in. The first is if the MP link is missing, which should inform the referee. Next is that the match is still ongoing, we don't want to show any incomplete match results. So instead, we'll just show a message that says that the match is still ongoing. And finally, if the match is finished, we want to show the actual match results, which is going to be our main case. In this case, we're going to use the ifs function, ifs, ifs. It's a bit different to a normal if, because in an ifs you can chain multiple if, else if, back to back, which is more useful because otherwise we would have to use 2 nested if functions. And that just looks a bit ugly in my opinion. Now I'm ordering my layout into the 3 categories we just defined, and I'm also going to implement the actual functions for inside the layout as we go along. As soon as we're content with the layout, we can now slowly start to fill in the actual cell references for the placeholder variables. Now be careful, as I mentioned I made a few syntax errors, and if you're not careful you're going to make some as well. If you've done this current score label with the muscle memory thing I mentioned earlier, and in case you're not using an external editor but using the formula bar of Google Sheets instead, then now is a good time to put that muscle memory to use, because you have a lot of cell references to fill in. Now, in the footage right now, I forgot to add in the match ID, the MP link, and the first pick cell references to the match results. I did add them in afterwards, but that's later in the footage. Final debugging phase to fix the last syntax errors, and then we're good to go. Now testing the match results for any errors, and add the finishing touches. That's it for this episode. Next episode, we're going to cover the final bits of formatting. It's a bit shorter than the other episodes so far, but it's well worth it considering that the final episode about scripts is going to be longer than all other episodes. So until then, see you next time.